Dela writes, my MVVs, welcome. The palace has been very tense, but everything came to a head when the Ooni of Ife finally called a council of elders to sit over the matter of Ebony Deceit. They said if atmosphere was heavy, it was not a festival gathering or a light-hearted assembly. It was serious, weighty, and uncomfortable. Everyone who mattered in the palace understood that something had shifted and could no longer be ignored. Ebony herself looked drained. She was not dressed in her usual bold, flamboyant attire. She looked worn out, almost broken, as though the gravity of her action had sunk into her chest. She had misled the Ooni for months, using the oracle as a cover, and now it had all come out in the open. The elders took their seat one after the other, elderly men with years of wisdom, deep knowledge of tradition, and a sense of authority that carried weight. The Ooni himself looked stained but controlled. Okay, his disappointment clearly written on his face. He was not just a husband this time, as far as this matter is concerned. He is a king, a custodian of tradition, a man who could not allow deception of this magnitude to go unchallenged. Yes, so this is what we are hearing. Yes, so Dela writes, they said the room was filled with silence at first as the Ooni recounted how Ebony's consultation had gone wrong over and over. He explained how her words had influenced him at critical moments, especially in the matter of Queen Naomi. Each time he had wanted to move forward, towards reconciliation with Naomi, Ebony's oracle reading had come back negative, warning him against it for a man who carried the weight of a throne and the expectation of tradition. Ignoring such, messages was not a light decision. Ebony had placed him in a tight corner for years, convincing him that the gods themselves were against Olori Naomi. You know how, we get to see this, okay? You remember that time where everybody was saying, Kabiyesi, let Kabiyesi stay in one place now. Let us know which side Kabiyesi they serve. You go, go. Come, come. You stand for middle. Allow the woman go, agree. Allow her go and look for some other person, somebody who will marry her, agree. Remember those days, right? You remember those conversations we used to have those days, right? Hey, he is king. He wasn't going to say some of the things that, one would have expected him to say. But it is now, that we are hearing that the consultation were always coming back wrong. They said when it was her turn to speak, when Ooni of Ife had explained everything, spoken to the elders, he was disappointed, as in so disappointed, before the immunity was removed, though. When Kabiyesi had spoken and spoken and spoken. Now, please, Dela writes, I have pleaded with you guys. Be very civil in the comments that you leave. Do not call names. I am begging you in the name of God. I'm begging you in the name of God. Bikonu, I am begging you, please do not call name. Be civil. And for my sake and the sake of this blog, I am begging you. Okay? There's a very serious law that is being enforced now. Even your comment can get me into a very serious wahala. I am begging you, please. Okay? And now, so, they said when, it was her turn, Ebony's turn to speak, okay? They said, to explain what happened, they said, Ebony's voice trembled. She was crying, okay? She was broken. They said she admitted in front of everyone that she could not, get Naomi's spiritual reading right. All of those times that she was going and consulting for Olori Naomi, she is claiming that she could not get Naomi's reading right. She confessed that Naomi's Ori, that is Olori Naomi's Ori, that is her spiritual energy. You know what Ori is? Her protective spirit was angry with her, that is Ebony. Because of this, whenever she tried to read for Naomi, nothing opened. that what she did, that this whole thing that was discovered, it wasn't a deliberate attempt to mislead Kabiyesi or anything. That each time she tried to read Naomi's Ori was never opening up for her to read. And that she tried so many times. She could not see clearly. She could not interpret, and she panicked. Instead of admitting her weakness, she chose to say that the gods were against Queen Naomi's return, using that line again and again to cover her inability to read Naomi. And they said, that was what she said, that this whole thing that they are calling deceit, that is not really deceit. That she never deliberately did this to hurt Olori Naomi. She really couldn't read, and that was what she was, why she kept using this line. And you know, it was a humiliating admission, as we heard. A woman who had built her authority in the palace around her closeness to the oracle was now confessing she had been operating in confusion and fear. She said it was not deliberate, that she was only afraid of looking weak before the Ooni of Ife and the elders, so she covered her silence with fabricated warnings. They said they only listened, like Ooni had no expression, but everyone in that courtroom could feel his disappointment. For a man like him, betrayal of trust is far heavier than any other offense. He had learned, you know, on Ebony at moment when his heart longed for Queen Naomi. But tradition demanded caution, and so he had steered him away. This whole thing that Ebony did steered him away from Olori Naomi. Okay, and she had steered him away with false pretense. There's Ebony family members who had been invited said, with everybody, when they only turned to them and asked if they understood the seriousness of what had happened. They broke down in tears. They begged the Ooni for mercy, saying that Ebony was still young and had made mistakes in her judgment. They reminded him of her loyalty in other areas, pleading that this one is terrible, you know. Even though it's very terrible, Kabiyesi should not use it to judge her. But at this point, Kabiyesi had made up his mind that to that very, very moment, immunity will be removed. And that was how they made that arrangement immediately for immunity to be removed. They say if you see, cry. But one thing about this is that Dela Wright, you know, I've told you guys, I've been in transit. I've been, you know, traveling, okay? I got back to my station last night. I am exhausted. As in, G's just full everywhere, but I don't have the power. I'm tired. And so just please bear with me, okay? Let me settle down. But tomorrow, if I have power, I'll bring you all the gist, okay? I'll just give you line by line. You trust me now, okay? I appreciate you. This is what has been going on. I appreciate you. I love you. I'm going to bring you more update. Do not forget that these are all alleged, rumored, unverified information making the rounds on social media and should not be seen as fact.